welcome to Civic Space TV. My name is Madreen, and this is Women Rise, Women at the Front Lines. Yes, I hope you are well. Now, join me welcome my guest today. I have a young lady in studio today. This is called Praise. She's called Praise, Aloikin. I don't know if I pronounced it well, Praise.
Yeah, that's quite okay.
Okay. Praise is a social justice advocate that uses protests as a means to foster change. She believes that power belongs to people. She has been arrested and remanded to prison twice. And she's a student, a law student at Makerere University, and she's a mother. She's here to tell us about, herself, a little bit about herself, her background, but of course more into what she is doing as an advocate for social justice. Praise, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
How are you?
I don't think I'm fine, but I don't think I'm at my worst. Okay. So I think that's a fair place to be.
50-50.
Yeah.
Oh, we hope soon you'll be okay.
I hope so too.
Yeah. So Praise, to someone who doesn't know who Praise is, and this is their first time seeing you, what would you tell those people? Who is Praise?
Okay, so that is quite different according to different people.
Okay.
Currently, I think the most famous way I'm known is the nude protester. But beyond that, my name is Aloikin Praise of Pologe. I'm a firstborn daughter in my family.
Okay.
And I'm from Palisa district.
I can see that.
Yeah. And like you said, I'm a law student at Makerere University in my final year. Someone that is very passionate about social justice, using sometimes very unconventional means that spark a lot of contention.
Yeah.
I'm a mother to one little queen.
Wow.
Yeah, she just turned 1 year, I think, last month. I don't think, I'm sure, last month. Yeah, so I think that's about me. People who know me say I'm funny. I don't know how true that is.
We shall see as the conversation,
I'm
of
humorous.
course.
Okay.
Yeah. So Praise, we want to know who Praise was before what you are today. We want to know a little bit about your childhood experiences. Where did you go to school to, and which kind of child were you when growing up?
Yeah. I think like most firstborn children that are born right after marriage, I was a planned kid.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had a lot of privilege, I think, from my parents as the first child. So much love, so much care. And my mom especially, tried her best, to take me to the best schools possible that she could.
Yeah.
Not because she had the most money, but she just always felt like I needed the exposure. She was the first person to graduate in her village from her place where she was. So she wanted that from the first woman to do it. So she wanted that so badly for me.
For you too.
The exposure especially. So she took me my first school, I think, primary. Nursery, I went to nursery, Good Shepherd, somewhere there in Zambia. But I was in boarding school, remember? Right from nursery, because home is in Palisa. But she would send me there, and then my aunt would visit me because my aunt was staying here. So I went to Good Shepherd.
Right from nursery, you were in boarding school?
Yeah.
Wow, at a very young age.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I went to Trinity Academy. It's in Bukoto. That's before my mom went broke, and she took me. She took me back to
you back to Palisa?
Yeah, she took me back to Kumi, which is next to Palisa. Okay. And by that time, she told us it was because of the bombings that were happening. There was some sort of insurgency. There was a lot of strife between, I think, the political parties, NRM and FDC at that time. So that's the reason she gave us. But growing up, now I know she was broke. So she took us there, me and my brother that time. And that's where I sat my P7 from. So when I finished my P7, I think we're a little bit rich again.
Okay.
So she took me to Center High.
Okay.
Yes, Mokono, the main campus. Then I was there. Then we went broke again in my senior 3. Then she took me,
keeps coming
exactly.
back.
Then she took me to Mbaleses Senior Secondary School. Yeah, it was beyond her control. Personally, actually, it was a decision I made myself. She had just separated from my dad, and she was going through some financial hard stuff. So I was like, just take us to this school such that, you can get to save a bit and
as the
make some
firstborn
money.
daughter.
Exactly.
I see you started the responsibility. Way too early.
Exactly. So I get there, then I come back to Seta High for my A-level, then I'm at the university, at Makerere studying law. I think that's been, I think, my childhood. Served in different leadership positions. I was really small. I'm 25. I know I look like I'm 16. Yeah.
You'll give us that. What are you eating? What are you using so that, we keep ourselves young?
Don't worry. I've always looked younger than my age, you get? So imagine, I look this small now. Imagine what I looked like when I was in P7.
Yeah, true.
So as the head girl in primary, so tiny, big head, so big-headed. Like, I mean, literally big head, and then tiny, and then big-headed. So I was always giving the administration hard time when they did anything wrong, when they did something wrong. And they say I was the best head girl. But that was to the students, I don't know, to the administration. It was two-way. When I came in handy, when they're showing you off in the village, as the most outspoken girl, they were proud of me. But when it came to asking the tough questions, So when I joined Seta High, now for my A-level, I became the lady chief judge and then later the head prefect. That was a promotion. Like, I was doing such a good job.
Okay.
But same story repeated itself. The administration wasn't happy when I was asking the hard questions, the tough questions. But that's what my leadership journey has looked like. I'm a debater and a public speaker. I've trained, schools around, especially working with UNSA, because, I'm thinking if you train people, it creates awareness, and then they'll get to feel the bad things happening in the country and then stand up for themselves. But I also volunteer with quite a number of organizations, especially those that believe in, rights of women, things like eradicating period poverty, because I'm a feminist. Yeah, a stiletto lawyer, a goody. So, yeah. I'm all those things, I think. So I think that's basically me, someone that has always been passionate about holding people in power accountable. From small
beginnings, yeah. Exactly. So we are not surprised to, what you're doing now.
Yeah. I don't know. Personally, I'm not surprised, but I'm surprised still, because the praise in the past, I would never imagine myself seeing men holding guns and women holding guns, and I'm going towards them.
You're going towards them. Okay.
No, I didn't think I had that in me. I didn't think I had that in me.
Okay. So what are you doing now?
Yeah, currently I'm blowing bubbles and fighting bad people. Okay. Okay, currently what I'm focusing on is peaceful protests. The why is simply because I feel like people in this country have become, like, they have sat back and left the responsibility of holding leaders accountable, I think, to certain institutions or to a certain group of people that they choose to call activists, and they sort of institutionalize it, as if you're supposed to be paid for doing it. Like, it should be a job of sorts, like you're a lawyer, I'm a teacher, then there is an activist. You get it? And I feel like that's wrong, because I feel like our constitution, from its inception in the preamble, and it says recalling our history, where we went through all these different things, it goes ahead in its first article to say power belongs to the people. You get? And I feel like people have ignored all that and sort of left this power that is given to them, especially in terms of accountability, because still our constitution goes ahead to stress our duties as citizens, and it tells us that we have a duty to fight corruption, you get, in different ways. And I've chosen personally to exercise my right to peacefully protest, because I feel like, one, it gives me an opportunity to express myself, but also create awareness about these things. For so long, we have been towing the line of, let's talk, let's join the people. But I don't think the problem in this country is because people that are in power do not have the information, or do not talk, or there haven't been conversation, Because a lot of people come and say, you guys are radical, you guys are doing this. But what they forget is that what we are doing And their proposed solution, which is conversation, isn't new. It has existed. Actually, conversation has taken the largest part of activism in this country. Sitting, meeting people, being diplomatic about it. And we have seen quite a number of people who have shifted from former political parties into the current political party, into the current system, and they have instead been swallowed up in that kind of system. Recently, we had the service award scandal, and you're seeing even members of opposition part of the scandal. So I feel like people need to realize that they do not need to hold political positions to do some of these things. They have to exercise their duty in their most law form as just citizens of this country, because that's where the actual power lies. That's why we're a democracy. We're expected to vote people into power. That systematic, I don't know, way of doing things, of saying let's vote people, shouldn't make people think that the power isn't with them. It should actually remind them that the power is with them. That's why they're the ones to choose the people that sit in these offices. But now the people have gone there and they're doing what they want to do. So what do we do as people? We use this same power to recall them from these positions, to remind them of their duty to the people, to remind them what our priorities are as people, because they're not supposed to represent their priorities, but our priorities. So that's what I'm working on. Protests, but also with civic education. The protests are majorly for awareness purposes. Uganda is a very unique place. People can hardly have a conversation about something for more than a week. That's what has been the trend. And you find today, oh, someone's sex tape leaked. Oh, we make rounds about it. This one united East Africa. This one united Ugandans today. And that goes away. Someone says something, out something about government, like this amount of money has been stolen. We make noise about it. We get angry about it. And a few days later, we have shifted from it. So what I want to use this protest to do is to keep the conversation going. And I want to say that it has done that so far. We have had a conversation on corruption in government and in parliament for now more than 2 months, and it's still there. You understand? But also to create awareness through civic education. I personally make some videos that I share on my Twitter page on different topics still around civic awareness, and civic education. So that's what I'm up to right now, and maybe going to Luzira and eating some posho and stuff like that. But that's what I'm up to.
Okay, we shall come to that. And you talked of peaceful demonstrations. What is a peaceful demonstration, and how can one, launch a peaceful campaign?
Okay, so a peaceful demonstration, if I'm to put it in other words, is just civil resistance. Non-violent civil resistance. And this can be manifested in different ways. It can be in a symbolic way, you get, expressing yourself symbolically, like the most recent protest on 2nd September, where myself together with other ladies were marching nude with different words on our bodies and holding placards about corruption. And the main point was this was our rationale. You see how people normalize corruption, and certain things just become statistics. For example, you say, 35 people were buried under rubbish in Chitezi. And they're just 35 because it's not your mother, it's not your sister. You can't see them as people that had lives, people that had dreams, people that had families. It's such a distant figure. When people say, for example, that 2,000 people die in this country from preventable diseases every year, it's just a statistic. I don't think you've lost someone in your family, maybe. It's just there. So when they tell you that, for example, an MP stole iron sheets that were meant for people in Karamoja, you don't feel it because you've never gone a day outside the home, sleeping in the cold. You understand it, which is not okay. Mpanga says that we need to reach a point in this country where people develop a central nervous system to feel for people things that you may not have experienced yourself, but also to bring back the embarrassment that surrounds certain actions like stealing of public funds, you get, to bring back the embarrassment to things like the expenditure in the parliament, where we have an entertainment allowance for a Speaker of Parliament being up to 10 million Ugandan shillings, and yet there are women giving birth in hospitals without attendants, without drugs. There are babies in the NICU dying because there are no oxygen tanks or electricity is not working and there are no generators in that particular hospital. So when you see me praise naked and you want to somehow feel embarrassed about it, feel angry, our culture, our whatever, remind yourself that that anger and that embarrassment should be directed to what corruption is and to the people that perpetrate corruption. So we do not ban anyone's property, you do not hit anyone. It's just you symbolically showing what you believe in and communicating a certain message to the people. But also you can use civil disobedience. And civil disobedience is where you refuse to do something that you're mandated to do as a citizen. You understand? For example, someone can say, we shall not pay taxes, because we know that each tax that we pay is not going to, for example, build schools. When they sit down to make a budget, they are going to get that money that is meant for buying ambulances for hospitals and give it to a failing company that they've been trying to rescue, but it has failed to come on its feet, a private entity. So you can choose to say, we shall not do that. Or, for example, you can choose to say, we shall not work today. We are going to just remain in our homes. We are not going to work again until the government changes ABCD. So the core of peaceful protest is to communicate a specific message, to create awareness, and to, make the government turn their eyes from whatever they're doing to a particular topic, to a particular cause. I've seen also people, guys protesting against the ECOP, and the issue is that stop the ECOP, because people are being sent away from their homes without compensation. There are certain harms that could come from, doing this for their specific reasons. Now, ours around corruption, especially in parliament, because we believe that these are people that control the laws in this country, control how money flows in this country. They are the closest to the representation of all Ugandans in this country. So if they fail at their part, then they have failed the state at large. I hear people usually say, oh, you guys are just attacking the speaker because she passed the anti-homosexuality bill. Okay, it becomes then a simple question. Is it us who told the speaker to say shut up on the floor of parliament to a member of parliament that was trying to talk about the corruption scandals? Was that something to do with us? Is it us that allocate to her 10 million for entertainment? No. Is it us that allocate to her beddings and clothing allowances on top of the 40 million that she earns? Is it us that tell members of parliament not to be taxed, and yet they tax people in this country earning as low as 500 Ugandan shillings, but someone is earning 40 million and they are not being taxed? On top of that, they have allowances. It doesn't make sense. So that continuous fixing of money within political government positions and leaving the middle class hungry and grappling. Yes, the common man, you study for over 20 years to be a teacher, and you're earning peanuts. You understand? You're earning peanuts.
That's if even you're lucky, if you're lucky to have the job.
Thank you. Yeah. That is exactly what it is. And people do not understand these things, where people get leadership and now make it like a business. You get? That's why you see people invest in political campaigns, sell everything they have just to get there. And when they get there, they say, Nessa Suza, I'm paying myself back for what I spent.
Yeah.
So that's what peaceful protests are, basically. We are not going to, they're different from riots. We're not going to beat anyone. We are not going to hit anyone. We shall use what we have, the weapons we have, our bodies, our voices, and that's it, Yeah.
Yes, you've been there before. So do you think the government, how is the reception, of course, from society and of course the government when you're doing these protests?
The response, I'll start from the society, is, of course, like in most cases has been in Uganda, a bit divided.
Yeah, true.
But to be fair, I would say that for not the first time, but now for some time again, like has been in the walk to work protests, as was in the November marches against the Tojikwatako movement thing, we have a large number of Ugandans that believe in the cause, that have reached a point and said, yes, there is corruption in parliament and we need to do something about it. That the government is no longer focusing on prioritizing the Ugandans, and we have to do something about it. So there is that great majority of people. But where the division has come in is in how are we going to do it. We have the people who are saying, for us, we are going to the streets to protest. We have people who are saying, for us, we are going to meet these people and have conversations with them, the safe corridor family of people. We have people who are saying, let's chill, we can't do much about it. We have people that are saying we should just get guns and go to the bush. I don't think we have a bush anymore because of climate change, but then we have a group of people that, you know, are saying, you guys are just saying things badly. Even you, if you got in those places, you would be stealing from them. But we're at a place where everyone agrees something has to be done. Yeah. But that's where the difference comes from amongst the people. Personally, my stand on that is that this is like some big elephant. And you can't eat it all in one swallow. You have to find different ways to eat it. And I'm strongly against people that feel their ideas are the magic bullet to all the issues that Ugandans are facing. Because I feel like the things that they're suggesting are not new. They've been here and they have failed already. Even protesting has happened in this country and it hasn't sort of magically taken us into some other new place. But we cannot take away what all these small contributions in the end lead to. You understand? Whether you choose to protest, whether you choose to tweet about it, whether you choose to say, let's join them and change them from within, whether you choose, whatever means you choose to do, as long as you're just not sitting back and doing nothing, it matters. And no one should try to think that their solution matters over the solution of the other person. Now, response from government has been also multifaceted. I think when we started out with the March to Parliament campaign, the government response was first to ignore us, like we didn't exist, you know, because they felt like there's nothing much they will do about it. Like they're going to talk about it, they're going to tweet about it, but there's nothing much they'll do about it. But when I sat down with some people and we drafted that police letter, which we took to police because according to our protest guidelines, you're supposed to notify police. Not to get permission from them, but to notify them that, hi, I think I could be protesting on this particular day. So have it, like use this information the way you please. And even irrespective of having that notification regime existing, you can still protest without notifying the police. That's also provided for because there's certain protests that will just happen out of natural circumstances. You don't have time to write a letter to the police and be like, hey, I think in the next few seconds I'm going to be protesting. So that's also catered for. So I think the first attention we got was when we actually wrote that letter. And we got a call from police, come and we talk, stuff like that. And I thought, oh God, maybe for the first, I had a ray of hope. The police was going to follow all the judgments that have been held in court saying that they should allow people protest. They should guide protesters. I was so excited. Then I got there. Then they were asking questions around, what do you want? You're so young, you could die. Your lives are, why are you involving yourselves in this? Yeah, we shall kill you. You know, giving those hints.
Yeah, because, you know, the president said to the March to Parliament, said, you people are playing with fire.
Exactly. And that was actually way before. But all that time he had been ignoring our existence. So we are like relentless. We tell them, whether they give us permission or not, we are going to protest. Now, that's up to you. So they call us back the next day and give us a letter of rejection because they claimed their intelligence had shown them stuff that were wrong people and sort of telling us use less radical means, something of the sort. And I remember looking at this policeman and telling him, by the way, we are going to protest and nothing is going to change about what we told you. And we have reached a point where we are ready to die for the things that we believe in. So that was our first response. We have actually, it came after they released a statement. They are young people organizing a protest we know nothing about. That's unconstitutional, blah, blah. In my head, I'm like, but you already know. Actually, the notification regime doesn't say write to police a letter. You get? So I was like, you already know. So there was that. But then there were also people in the state who feel like these are just some young entitled people who know nothing about leadership and they're just hobnobbing around these issues that shouldn't concern them.
And were saying you're being funded, someone was, you know, sponsoring you to go.
Yes, You're being sponsored by gay people. That is the most tired excuse in this country. Gay people. that excuse is so tired, so exhausted, that even when you give it to the most homophobic Ugandan today, they won't take it anymore. So that fails. When that fails, the foreign funding stuff and everything that fails, they just now, I think, take it upon themselves that day to stage, the armed people the way you saw them. We marched, we got arrested, and they've also tried to silence us in different ways. That arrest, brutal arrests, remanding us to Luzira, taking us there for some time, reaching within there, and there are people intimidating you, the wardens and stuff like that. But our spirit was not wavered. So that has been their response. Their response has been violence, just like their response has been in all issues in this country. They can pretend and masquerade about like they want conversation, like they are fighting against the same things you're fighting for, like they are, like they are for change, for progressivity. But their true colors come when genuine people stand up to want to fight against those things. Now, they have an issue because for them, it's just wordplay. It's just mouth play. They just want to say it to sort of pacify Ugandans, to let these bad things keep happening, to always give excuses. And some of the excuses they give is, we're a poor country. Like, we don't have the money to do these things. You need to appreciate what we are doing. And I personally almost bought that. But then ask myself, if we are a poor country, the way you say we are poor, then why do we have the luxury to have State House having budgets that pop up almost 5 times after the budget has already been passed, asking for more money? If we're actually a poor country and that's why we cannot deploy our medical interns, just because we lack 18 billion, then why is it that the parliament is having regional parliamentary sittings, which are not even necessary, and they are going to spend almost 20 billion? So where do they miraculously get this money? Okay, we don't have money, that's why rubbish buried people in Chitezi. But tell me, how does this money pop up for you to compensate them 5 million each family that lost someone? Where did that money come from? From this very poor country? So you realize that they sell certain lies to people to pacify people. You get? To corrupt your mind, to think, oh, we are poor, we cannot do these things. The president himself stands up and says, if now I deal with corrupt officials, what will the government remain with? You get? Meaning everyone is corrupt, so let them eat. The speaker stands up and says, if someone steals and shares with you, then it's sort of okay because I've shared with you the people. So the response is really funny, but I'm so grateful that irrespective of all that, there are Ugandans still who are towing the line of accountability, who are saying we are not going to stop now. And personally, I don't discriminate. Whatever method you feel is suitable for you, go ahead and use it. My only problem is if you're doing nothing about it.
Yeah, true. And Praise here is a young person, and the biggest population in Uganda is composed of young people.
Yeah.
Yes. What do you think is the level, or at what kind of level are the young people involved in political processes in Uganda?
Okay. So, young people, I could say, are fairly involved in the politics of Uganda because young people vote, for example. Young people can get to comment about these things. But my only issue is they are not involved in a meaningful way. You understand? They are not involved in the places that matter. The most involvement of young people in this governance or in the politics of this country is tokenism. You understand? And it's not meaningful because, one, in as much as we are the greatest part of this population, we are the most economically unstable, high levels of unemployment, high levels of illiteracy. And I'm not even talking the ability to read and write, because we have some people who have the ability to read and write. But there is that intellectual laziness that the system, starting from the education system, places in the mind of a Ugandan person. That even when you find someone who has gone to the university, they reason in a way that baffles you. Like, why are you reasoning like this? Then someone who didn't go to school, how are they even going to reason in the first place? The education is full of cramming. First of all, they scrapped off civic education. people think patriotism is supporting the NRM government. When this government teaches you patriotism, it takes you to, is it Chankwazi? Where do they go where they put on those army-like uniforms and be training whatever they are training? That's what people think patriotism is in this country. So there is a lot of misinformation and disinformation that has made the young people very vulnerable, very vulnerable. That even when they want to take up politically meaningful stances on certain things in this country, they cannot. Because you're thinking, if I stand up to protest and I march and I come out of prison, I'm going to be sent out from my job, because first of all, it's a big risk to take a stand in this country against the government. And that happened to so many young people that marched on 23rd. Most of them were sent away from their jobs. Most of them are receiving life threats, you understand. And that means that you choose the price that you want to pay. You're like, okay, if Anita Mong is stealing this money together with her deputy in names of buying themselves generators for their private homes, it doesn't really bother me as long as I can keep my job of 200K and earn from it rather than be chased from it. So we are like lame. Yes, we are lame people. We are disabled without disabilities. You understand? So you cannot say that a young person that is living in a family where no one has ever gone to school, where if you get the income of that family in a month, it does not come up to 10,000 Ugandan shillings. You cannot tell me that this person is meaningfully politically engaged in issues of this country. Because even when they know that I'm a bad MP, they are going to vote me when I come back the next campaigns and give them 1K and give them a Benson and give them a yellow, blue, red or whatever t-shirt that it is. And, splash a little money here and there for them. They're most likely going to vote me for that because their price is so low. Ugandans do not know their value. You understand? Ugandans have reduced themselves, I don't know, to shuttles that you just pay off. They have a price. You pay off. It's like, what's your price? And the leaders in power know this. That's why they will call you and ask you, what do you want? Because they cannot fathom the idea of a young person that has taken a stand against some of these injustices that they perpetrate without a need for money. And I'm so worried of the generation. They say our generation is going to liberate this country, but I'm worried about this generation. Because this generation is so hungry. And we are having people that have learnt their land, they've gone up to the university, they've graduated, some are on their second courses, but they're still unemployed. They have no jobs. And because money has continuously shifted from the middle class to political positions, they feel like that's where they can make the money. So they are shifting to parties like NRM, Pilau, PLU. They are trying to strategize, how do I get in power and eat from there? You understand? And these are the young people that put on the Kaunda suits, that call each other comrade, commander, my leader. You understand? These are the people. These are people I've seen here on Civic Space speaking about issues of this country passionately, like they want to change and transform the world. But you meet them in their inner circle, the conversations they have. Mugati, where is the Mugati? Ndira Muwa, that kind of conversation. You understand?
So, Praise, well, what do you think we can do, to move away from Mugati, everyone looking for Mugati?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, what do you think can be done?
Now, before I even answer that, do not think I have the magic bullet answer. But I personally feel like civic awareness and civic education is a very big and important tool. And this is why I think it will work, and it works. The civic awareness or civic education, one, teaches people what their value is, what their importance is. It goes ahead to give them some hope, that you can get out of this situation. But it also illuminates the path for those who may not know. They are lost. They're in this system. You're unemployed, you're young. They are lost. They feel like the best way to, for example, make money in this country is to be corrupt, is to be in a political position. They are so lost, and that's where they are. So that's what civic education does. Because I feel like there are people who have been in more oppressed places like us. And I usually follow a lot. I watch a lot of documentaries about Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X and their different approaches. These were people leading black, we have experienced things, but the black racism and segregation that occurred in the 90s, early 90s in America against the black people was like one of the worst things ever. You're completely disarmed. Why you have a government that's not even pretending to protect you. It's showing you we are not for you, we are not on your side. But through civic education, you see that it created a certain awareness in Black people. The feeling that I am somebody and my rights deserve to be respected, irrespective of my color, irrespective of my race, irrespective of my financial standing. Now, that's what civic education in Uganda has to teach people. But also it has to teach them that if they do not, we are like in a line. I don't know if you've seen that video where there is a match, and then you're that one match to create that difference, a matchstick. So they light the one matchstick on one end on fire, and then it's going and it's burning up all the matchsticks. Then one is just pulled down, and then the burning stops. So we need to teach Ugandans that it's not Praise who's going to create the change in this country. It's not Bobby Wine who's going to create the change in this country. It's not what's his name, Dr. Kiza, who is going to cause a change in this country. It's you going to cause a change in this country. And it involves you stepping away from a system that has been perpetuated for a long time. The system of impunity, the system of abuse of power. Even though it costs you, you should learn that it is your duty, it is your responsibility. Because there is no human being who is not going to have something to lose. We shall always have something to lose. And this could be a job, this could be friends, this could be family. Personally, my mom thinks I need to be laid hands on because I'm demon possessed. So I'm telling you, you always have something to lose. Dr. Kabumba has been one of the people that is speaking up vocally about judiciary injustices. He's a lecturer at Makerere University. Who knows, maybe he wants a promotion, maybe even just, let's say, his job there, you get? He's in a public university, so they could decide to sack him any other day. But he still chooses to fight in his capacity. Now imagine all of us took upon ourselves that kind of responsibility. But people cannot realize these things. They feel they are so insignificant within a grand system. And yet they do not know that they hold that system up when they uphold that system. Because most times what they think is, let me do nothing since I'm so insignificant in this system. So through civic education, we teach those people that their small actions matter. Like not bribing a traffic officer when you're caught in wrong, you know? Like not taking that mugati, for example, to influence for a government project that you know is stealing from the people and not giving back to the people. Those small, tiny actions, individual actions. So I feel like civic education that has that kind of coverage or perspective is what will set us free. Yeah, because I can't say give them money, I can't say do anything, I can't even say employ them, because you're never going to reach a place where everyone is employed equally. That's a long-term thing. But to teach people to have their price very high, actually to have no price, to know that there are certain things that are non-negotiables for them as citizens of this country. And we are working on that. Myself together with some other young people, we are working on that. We want to start moving from universities. And I know that when people raise a question of, but you're in universities, you're keeping this intellectual, why not go down to the grassroots people? Personally, me, this is why I chose the university. I'm not against people going down there. But why I chose that is that me, I've come to the realization that we do not need how is it going to sound? We may not need the whole country to change the country, you get? But if you create a critical mass of people, they can change this country. That's why you see when the president, Museveni, went to the bush with 27 people, I'm not saying we are going to the bush, but when he went to the bush with 27 guns, with those few boys, and then grew that critical mass of people, they were able to get, quote unquote, that change that they gave us, you know? Not every black man in America, for example, had realized their value and worth to attain that sort of black independence within America, you get? Not every black person marched together with MLK to Washington where he made the Great I Have a Dream speech for that to happen. Not every white person reached a point of acceptance that a black person has value for that change to happen. But there was a critical mass of people that were created, that believed in that thing and pushed for it to the end. And that's why personally, I feel like university students are easy lot of people, and most movements have proven this, to deal with. They're a little bit awakened. It's not so hard to awaken them. They are most likely going to have conversations about the actual issues and not okay, not all of them,
Yeah.
but most likely than not, they're going to have conversations that are more not about the trivial issues. It's easy. They're not enlightened, but they're easy to enlighten. Rather than, it will be so hard. You're going to a woman, first of all, who does not understand that as a woman, she has human rights. She feels her husband beating her up is very okay. She's struggling. Her children are not in school. It's going to be hard to explain to her. How are you going to explain to her that a meal a day is not as is not important? You have to struggle for your country. You get that kind of thing. Because when we were arrested and brought to CPS the second time for the nude protest, we found a lady there, and she wanted to get bond, and the police wanted her to pay to get bond. And we're telling her, you see, you know, you're not supposed to pay for bond. You do not give them that money. She was like, me? Go to Luzira, stop my life. I have a whole life to run just because of 50K. She was like, no. As a matter of fact, I can mean to sell my phone that I bought like at 600K for 50K just to get that police bond money and pay them and get out of this place. So you understand that?
Yeah.
I think she's like a lady vendor. She sells, I think, some vegetables in town. And that's what she was trying to explain to us. She was like, there's a sentence or car, that money can't take me to Luzira. So there are people that feel like they
Is
have
it fear?
yes,
Well, yeah.
fear and that feeling of I'm not important enough to change this system. It's too much. It comes in different levels, in different groups and classes of people. But there it's so hard. Though it doesn't mean that we have neglected those people. I'm personally still welcome to anyone who has really good ideas of how we can liberate those people. Because I actually feel like it's easier to do it with people that have reached such a point of... Because if you've come from such a place of not having anything at all, and then you finally get enlightened and you're like, no, I have to fight for myself. You usually do it with a lot more passion than someone who's doing it from a point of privilege.
Yeah.
Like, I have a job, I'm earning like a 500K, I'm preferably okay, I'm graduated from the university, I have nothing. They can easily sway. But when someone from the grassroots makes up their mind, like, this is me, I have nothing to lose, like I've lost it all, then it's a better movement. But getting them to that point, my dear, is not something easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. We are here with the social justice advocate, Praise. And Praise, away from, civic education, yes, what are some of, what hinders, full involvement of these young people in the governance activities and political processes in Uganda?
Okay. You mentioned one, just as we're having the previous conversation, fear. People are so scared for their lives. If you get the number of people that have died in this country trying to stand up for what they believe in, the numbers are up there. The numbers are up there. In the November massacres, we lost over 54 people. And that was one of the most terrible times, because even those who were not protesting or doing anything were killed. There were young children killed in the arms of their parents. It was like shooting anyone, anywhere. You get that kind of thing. So that has constantly created fear, Fear where, you tell yourself, my life, I rather save my life, however bad it is, let me do my life in this system. So there is a lot of fear, and there's a lot of fear-mongering everywhere. I remember before the 23rd March, someone was actually calling us and telling us, you guys, calling some of my colleagues to be specific, do not march, there's going to be a bloodbath. Instead, come and we go to parliament, and we meet the people, the parliamentarians, and present for them a petition. And my head, I'm like, come on. You want to say these members of parliament do not know the things we have been asking for? What difference will that petition make? Just to make us look like fools on the floor of parliament, because you're going to stand in the court of your oppressor and expect some justice from there. Like, you're going to stand in front of Anita Among and tell her, Anita Among resign, and then she'll resign the next day or do whatever. So we're like, no, let's not do it. But for a second there, I realized how fear is such a big tool that they use constantly. The president himself tells you, do not play with fire. The police person tells you, we shall shoot you.
Yeah.
You get. And you're like, okay, so what do I do? You're constantly debating your life and, that. But also we have had some internal issues, a lot, I don't want to call them buyouts or sellouts, but where you disagree on issue of principle with someone you've been working with, and then they do not have the intellectual decency to think that you can have dissenting opinions without destroying each other. You get? And that has been quite a lot in Uganda. That divide and rule politics has actually been facilitated by that idea. The fact that since we disagree on principle, we are arch enemies and we cannot share this flow together, let me find a way to destroy you. You understand? So that has been quite a lot. It has seeped within political parties. It has seeped through any kind of opposition that I've personally seen, even in the space of non-government organizations, civic organizations. It's that constant, strife and struggle of, if it's not me, it won't be you. You understand that kind of conversation. But also, I feel like there is a certain level of institutionalization of activism that has affected activism. You get? The fact that you get an activist and put them in an office and pay them to do these things, you get? You turn whatever you're doing to sort of like an organization. I feel like it has killed the movement spirit. I feel like one of the biggest movements we had in this country, or we could still have in this country if they had not chosen to institutionalize, was the people power movement. Because when you're just an open movement, you're not like an organization that owes the government certain obligations, or working within their means, or doing this within their means. You have that, I'm going to call it natural spirit, like almost radical spirit. You're not conforming. There's a lot of conforming that has come with this institutionalization. So you find an organization supposed to protect the rights of women. Why are you silent on this issue? And the things when you're in the system. Like, since when did you start worrying about the system? You get? Then why are you existing in the first place? Because your existence is supposed to fight the system. And that's why I have issues with the Uganda Human Rights Commission. It's something that is constitutionally, created. But you're not supposed to fight within the system, especially when the system is a tool of oppression. So I feel like that is a great issue we have faced in this country because, like I've told you, most of the young people fighting are poor, they have no jobs, they're not okay. And the people are supposed to come, like, for example, and defend them. First of all, don't do it publicly. They want to help you behind closed doors because they fear what the system will do. So it discourages people from coming up, you get, to try and say what they have to say, do what they're supposed to do. Because I know when you run to the Uganda Human Rights Commission, they may say you're just staging this like they said for the political prisoners. So the problems are so many. But I think those are the ones that I can pull off my head, especially the fear.
Yeah. And you talk of fear. Someone watching us would say, this girl is so brave, Does she have someone behind her?
Don't be lied. Don't be lied.
And you, at one moment, sit there and say, what will happen tomorrow?
At any one moment, at every moment of my life. I'm like, is this my last day? Is this the last breath I will take? And that is my life every day.
Yeah.
When you're walking, you're looking over your shoulder. You're trying to tell yourself, let me not be in this place past this time. Let me not do this. Because you're really scared. Like, what's going to happen to me? Actually, people think that, oh my God, you're just going. I can imagine, even for someone who is paid, that money cannot take away the fear. Let's assume someone was paid. It cannot take away that fear. So the fear part is constant, but you see, defining courage as a lack of fear is wrong, because courage is basically having fear and choosing to conquer that fear and doing something against that fear. You get? So if your fear is something, you don't do it because of ABCD, you're like, no, I'm going to do it anyway. I think that's what courage is. So even courageous people have fear, to be fair. Yeah. For example, during these nude protests, when we had reached where we were supposed to start the march from, I tell people that I was just hearing that buzzing sound, like in movies when a bomb has just blasted and the situation. and everybody's like in some distance and you can hardly hear them.
Yeah.
That's how I felt. Because you're seeing right in front of you, there are policemen holding guns. You're naked.
Yeah.
The first time I marched, they beat me. They strangled me, hit me against furniture, tore my clothes into pieces. And I was like, now I'm taking myself naked there.
What will
the
happen?
hell are they going to do to me? What are they going to do to me?
Yeah.
So I was really expecting the worst. So in that, but you're like, you keep reminding yourself, it's for a cause, it's for a cause, it's for a cause. Like, there is a worse place than this. And I usually I recite some things in my head. Like, you see, Praise, yeah, the number of people who've lost in this country because of political reasons are very few compared to the number of children and women that died due to maternity cases. They are less than the number of people that died due to preventable diseases. So it's okay. It's okay. You're fighting the right cause.
Wow.
So I remind myself those things, try to take away the fear from me, combat some of these things, think about people that made it, and ask myself, is life worth living if it's this kind of life anyway? Yeah. So if you hear that I'm shot tomorrow, don't be shocked.
No, we hope
Continue
that doesn't
from there.
happen.
But
of
yeah,
course.
the fear
Yeah,
exists.
yeah,
The fear
the fear
exists.
is always there.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, Praise, you talked about, holding these leaders that we ourselves that do elect accountable.
Yeah.
Yes. It's us who elect these leaders in power. Yes. And we do, how should we, like, better means of, holding them accountable? Or what should we do as we are nearing 2026 again? Yes, any word to, to the voters out there? How best, can we avoid this, what we are seeing right now? And yes, maybe something better can change in 2026.
Yeah, I think to be like, the easiest thing to do, for example, is just do not vote anyone who has been outed in these corruption scandals. Like, that should be your starter pack. Why are you voting back someone whom they are telling you was in prison because they were stealing something? But I realized that there is a possibility to vote someone because you're thinking, this is a right person. You get? And people can come up and lie to you. People can have the best manifestos ever. That's why I still go back to saying that people should learn to exercise the power that belongs to them.
Yeah.
Not just when they say vote, but even the power to protest, the power to say, yes, I put you in office 2 months ago, but the things you're doing, we do not like them. Call back these people from office, march to these people's houses of residence, to their offices. Not the houses of residence. Okay. that depends. But march to their offices, tell them what you want. Let them not have peace. It is our duty to disturb the peace of an oppressor, to disturb the peace of a corrupt official. Because elections, in as much as they are a good place to chase away people that were doing bad things before, it may be hard to tell for the new ones that are coming in, whether they are good or bad. That's why people have to constantly know that they should be in a place of holding these leaders accountable every other day. Because when we don't do that, they sit back. They are comfortable. They will mock you in your face. They will steal and mock you in your face. They will say things to your face because they know you have taught them that Ugandans, you do nothing.
Yeah.
You do nothing. They can get away with whatever they do. So in simple terms, just do not let anyone get away with what they do. Do not let Chitezi become an issue of the other month. No. Do not let the November massacres become an issue of 2020. Do not let, those small things. Never forget. The Bible says forgive and forget. The Bible didn't know politics of Uganda.
Okay, and Praise, as a woman, yes?
Yeah.
We are heading to 2026 election. As a woman, what do you hope to see change in Uganda?
As a woman.
And in particular, a young woman.
Okay.
Yes.
As we are heading for the elections, now as a young woman speaking for young women that could be running, for example, for these different political positions, please, it is like a big betrayal to me to see a woman, first of all, just a woman, join or be part of an oppressive system, like get power, then do bad things to people. Because as a woman, this is where you've come from. Like, if people had not fought for a less oppressive system, you wouldn't be in school. First of all, you wouldn't even hold this political position. You wouldn't even be allowed to vote in the first place. You'd be as good as less of a human being. So it baffles me when I see a woman become a leader that oppresses other people. Like, what are you trying to say? Have you read about the patriarchy? Like, it baffles me. So I would encourage all women to, first of all, raise their standards. Do not choose any card in this political race if it's not a good, for example, manifesto, the right political cards. Have your goals solid, know what you want to do, know what you want to give people. But also, since you're women in these positions, you owe women who are not in these positions certain obligations. Why is it that in our country, we can give out free condoms, but not free pads? And yet having sex is a choice. I can choose to have sex or not to have sex. But a girl does not choose whether she should go into her menstruation or not go into her menstruation. Girls are leaving schools, you get? Girls are leaving schools on the days they're having menstruation and missing out on these days of schools. Girls are getting pregnant because they're trying to find men who can buy them sanitary products at the end of the day. Worst case scenario, girls are dropping out of school because they do not have sanitary periods. So as you sit on the floor of parliament, almost punching yourselves, debating issues of homosexuality, debate issues also of women like pads. Debate issues of things like early marriages. As you're debating about very funny bills like the alcohol bill, where they wanted to put times at which people could drink alcohol or not drink alcohol, speak about the issues that affect women in this country. Domestic violence. Talk about it. Domestic violence. Just a few days ago, a member of parliament stood up on the floor of parliament crying and speaking about the issue of domestic violence and saying herself, she was a victim. So those issues, and because that's why a woman MP, you know, but how many times do we have issues of women being raised on that floor of parliament? Issues directly tackled to dealing with issues of women. Seldom do we. So I feel like women should now start looking at that. But also now to women who may not be running for positions, but are going to vote people.
Yeah.
Be selfish. Think about yourselves as women. Vote for people that carry the interests of women at heart. People that have shown a reputation of fighting for people. People that have shown the reputation of fighting for women. You know? People that are intentional about the issues that affect women. Why are you voting an MP who only comes for campaigns and never comes back in the area until campaigns come back again? It's being fair to yourself as a woman to do these things. So I expect that because of this, these different exhibitions and the current conversations, especially around corruption, abuse of power, that women especially will make more informed decisions as they vote coming in 2026. That they'll make more informed decisions, that they should ask tough questions. Just do not vote a leader because they come with very interesting chants and everything. Add some value to the presidential, MP, or whatever political debates that happen in this country. Ask the tough questions. So I hope to see a more educated electorate, especially female electorate.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So powerful.
Right. But also women that are out there that have been fighting for some of these positive things. Let them take up these political positions. They may not win, but let them give the thieves a run for their money. Yes, like let the thief have a sleepless night, call you for a cup of juice, give you some money, convince you to leave the position, but not just run freely in the race because they know they have no contender or opponent that is worth the position. So let young people, young women, take up these positions, especially if they've had a record of fighting for some of these things.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So powerful. And as we come to the end of this conversation, Praise, we've had many women, you know, strong women who have done what you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Which woman do you look up to in Uganda? Yes.
I don't know. I cannot say like there's a particular personality with everything that I look up to.
Of course.
But there are different people with different attributes
Yeah.
I pick from, and I'm like, wow. Let's start off with Dr. Slivia Tamale. What I like from that woman is her radical approach to using her femininity as a tool to fight oppression. That she's like, I'm a woman and I don't care that I'm a woman. I know that you think I'm less of a human being, but I'm going to use this opportunity to do something. You know? I like that about her. She has been through a lot. She has been to Luzira too. But then Luzira can break you. But when you come out of that place and you're not broken, I find that inspiring about her. I also find... I was talking about who? Dr. Slivia Tamale.
Yeah.
I'm mixing her up. So Dr. Slivia Tamale too is part of them, but that's not it. So switch everything I said and give it to Stella Nyanzi. Then now for Dr. Slivia Tamale, she's a lecturer at Marcus. She is now a former lecturer. She retired. I like her because she has taken up this intellectual space, you get, and used it as a tool to fight for the rights of women, you get. And when you're working in a system already where because you're a woman, you're looked under, you get, is that what they say? People look, people underlook you. People underlook you, but you do not shy away from having some of these conversations. You still have these conversations anyway, even in these spaces where people already underlook you. I like that about her. But I also like that as she does it, she still does it with style. Yeah. Gen Zs, we call it an aura. She has an aura. I like her sense of fashion. I like that she makes, she makes serious things not look boring. I like that about her. And I find that so inspiring. So those two ladies have really, really inspired me. There's a new lady on the block. She's new. I don't know if you know her. Her name is Munduru Grace. Yes. Munduru Grace also really inspires me. She's not in the older generation. She's not in the younger generation. She's just in between there. She inspires me too. I just like her spirit. She really fought so hard for that electricity thing in West Nile. And recently I see that her grid was there, opened up, and I think they're going to be having some electricity. I like that about her. Wow. I like that about her. Oh. And there are, of course, so many other ladies. Agatha Haire, that girl is so interesting. So it's quite I pick from different women. And I'm like, okay, this is the space I want to exist in.
Wow.
Exactly. And all the radical feminists and stiletto lawyers, they inspire me a lot.
Wow. It has been amazing here with Praise, and we really commend her work, commend the beautiful work that she's doing, fighting for social justice for you who is, out there, keeping yourselves in the cocoon. You don't want to come out. She's coming out for the voiceless also. Yes, so for the women, the young women, she has encouraged you to, to take up these spaces and be selfless.
Yeah.
Yes, be selfish and,
Be selfish.
Yes. Thank you so much, Praise, for coming through.
Thank you.
It has really been a beautiful conversation. There is a lot to learn from you, of course, from your brevity, your courage. Yes, and your last remarks to our viewers.
This is my last remark to the viewers. And you see, you can choose to say, I'm not a political person. I do not engage in political things. But politics is more than standing for a political position, of saying something in line with a political party or supporting this political party or the other political party. Politics is about how resources are allocated in a country, who gets to choose how these resources are allocated, where these resources are allocated. And if you want to keep quiet about some of these pressing issues, they will find you. I'm sure that there are certain people in Chitezi who were not political people, but the rubbish found them there and buried them there. Yeah. I'm sure that there are people who have gone to hospital just to give birth. They were not political people, but these political issues found them there. They gave birth, died there because there was no medicine, there were no drugs, the services were poor, and even maybe their children followed them there. There was maybe a person who was not political, driving their very comfortable car on some road. They hit a pothole, it overturned, they got an accident, and they died. They were not political people. So politics will find you. And you cannot keep playing this hide and seek game with it. You better come to come face to face with it and face the fact that politics is everyone's game, and you have to be in the politics, because they usually say you're either at the table or you're on the menu on the table. And that is your decision to make. Yeah, that's what I can tell them.
Thank you so much, Praise, for coming through, and thank you to our viewers. Thank you for watching us. Thank you to the people behind the cameras. I've been your host, Madreen. See you next week. Bye.